Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon from DevTactic, and today I'm back with a new video tutorial on Ionic 2 already. So we're gonna develop a simple Evernote clone, well, a very light version of Evernote indeed. But we will use Ionic 2 and we will also use TypeScript because this is a lot better, and Angular 2 will also use TypeScript, so why not start with it now? So without further information, let's start our app using Ionic start and the blank template, and we also specify v2, so this will be an Ionic 2 project, and -- TypeScript. So let's start and wait for the blank app to be finished. After our app is ready, let's navigate to our folder, and we need to do three things. So first of all, we use the new generator of the Ionic CLI to generate a page. We call it node detail. You will see it later why. So this will be a detail page for a specific node. And the page is just a simple component in Angular 2. But we will see this inside the code. So additionally, also we want to generate a provider. This is a lot like a service or factory with Angular 1, and we will also call this just node service. So this class will handle the loading and storing of our nodes inside our database. And finally, we want to add the Cordova plugin for Cordova SqlStorage. Okay. So I guess this will throw up an error, and I can already tell you something about this. Yeah, here it is. So if we use Ionic Serve, we can use this SQLite without problems because we have a web SQL inside the browser. If we want to build this app for iOS or Android, we will have a problem because we will fall back to use this web SQL, and this can get erased from time to time. So make sure to really add this plugin, and maybe go to my blog. I will post a solution for this. In general, you can also Google it. You just have to install a specific iOS or Android, or in my case I'm on a Mac, so this is a wrong iOS version of this, but this is not really a problem. So as I said, let's open the code, and also let's already run it. What is it? I think it's like this. So first of all, the code. Yes. Oh, thanks for the mail. Okay. So yeah. So this serving takes a bit longer than with what we knew before. Okay, so I was wrong. I can use my Google. Because our classes are in TypeScript and this needs to be compiled. So this can take a bit longer than usual. So there was one thing after we created our node detail page, and this was, don't forget to add an import. So let's do this right now. Go to app theme, app core, and right below this insert our node detail page. Okay, so I've created the app and here it is. So let's move it to the side. Yes, thanks. Well, maybe a bit big. Let's move it, make it a bit smaller. Okay, might look like a device. Whatever. So here we are with our project. We got the providers folder and the pages folder inside the app folder. Never modify the www folder, so this is auto-generated on building our app. The typings for TypeScript, We got some resources plugins. Those are pretty standard from Ionic 1 already. So let's go back to what we actually need to do. We got our app, and can I make it, yes, look like JavaScript, better. So this is the starting point for our app, the basic app.ts. You already see that we have a template for the basic root page, and the root page is our home page. This was already generated, but we want to add an import for our node service class, which we will create very soon. We could maybe already go in there, so it should be right here. Oh, come on. Okay, a lot better. We will have not that much inside here, but export class node service is important, and we will delete some stuff up here. I think we only need the HTTP. Do we need this? No, we need injectable, right? And this will also look a bit different. But anyways, we got our node service, and that's exactly what we want to import here. So slash providers slash node oh, come on, not cool, node service slash node service. This is our file, and we import it so we can add it as a provider to our complete app, like this. So this will already trigger the constructor, I think, and initialize the connection to our database later on. So there's not much we need to do here. The constructor, well, we can leave it like this. Our root page is the home page we already created, which is inside pages home HTML and TypeScript. But for now, the more interesting part is the node service. So let's save this and head on to our node service. So inside our node service, we need to first of all import the storage and also the SQL storage. So add another import, storage and SQL storage. And this is from Ionic Angular. Okay, let's go to our node service. So we will have a variable storage, which is of the type storage, which we import, and initially this will be just null. So inside our constructor, we will now initialize our storage. So this dot storage is equal to new storage, and for the options we just specify SQL storage. So this will create a new connection to our storage. And the first thing we're gonna do is create a simple query to create a table inside our database. So let me just copy this for now, because I don't want a typo in this. Oh, okay. Yeah, come on. Okay, so there we have it. You don't need to be an SQL master, but create table if not exist nodes. So we create a nodes table with an primary key, auto increment, and we have a title of the type text, and we also have a text inside, which should obviously also be of the type text. Alright, so this will create our database nodes if it doesn't exist by now. So now let's just add the standard methods we need. So first of all, get nodes should return this.storage query, and pretty straightforward, select star from nodes. So this will simply return all the nodes in our database. Another one we need is obviously save a node, and here we pass a node of the type node. And just to make things a bit easier, we create some node class. Up here we could obviously have another file, but I'm a bit lazy for this, so just create it inside here. And this will consist of a title, a text, and also the ID of the node. And also the constructor, which should take a title, a text, and an ID. And finally, I think I need to look for some code completion or generation tools, because this is a bit boring. I'm sorry for this. So whatever, we're done with it, and this is our little node class. So if we want to save a node, we first of all create our SQL statement. We want to insert into nodes, and we want to insert the title and the text, and therefore we will have two values which we want to specify in the next step. So although we save a node, we can return a promise, or no, it's no promise anymore, sorry for this. It's just an asynchronous call, and we can subscribe to the event. Whatever, we will see it in action later. So we will return this.storage.query again, and we pass our SQL statement, and for the variables we pass node.title as well as node.text from our node object. Alright, this is the save function. We need two more functions. Let's start with remove node, which again gets a node, and this time, well, we can use this .storage query delete from nodes where ID equals, and now it gets a bit complicated, but hold on. Like this. Oh no, not like this, like that. Alright, delete from nodes where ID equals node.id. The syntax might look a bit strange, but everything's right in here. And this deletes a node from our database. Alright, finally, the last one we need is to update a node. And this is a bit more, well, not that tricky, but a little bit longer. So let me copy this again, because it makes no sense if I have a typo now. And also this.storage.query with our SQL statement. So update nodes, we set the title to the node title, we set the text to the node text, where the ID is equal to our ID. And this is the statement to update a node. So we save it, and I'm not sure why he still not finding our node service. A beautiful node service is right here. Cannot find module node service. What have I done wrong? Dot provide us node service, node service. I'm not sure. I will start it again. Maybe he finds it now. Otherwise, yeah, I think everything's right. Not sure what's the problem right here. Oh, come on, cannot find node service. Do you like it like this? Cannot find module. Come on. What is wrong with my spelling here? It's everything right. Ionic Angular providers. I'm not sure what the fuck. Just a second, hold on. Interesting. So now we have a problem in the node service, which says we can't find a number. I don't think so. Why should this be a problem? Ah, okay, so ID should equal ID. Well, this is indeed something pretty cool about TypeScript. So we get those little errors here up front, which we would have gotten with Ionic 1 a lot later and a lot more hidden. So I'm really happy to have these logs. Okay, so we got our class ready. Let's head on over to our home finally. This is again JavaScript, come on, you can do this. So first of all, we need to import some stuff. While we need the page, we also need the nav controller because we want to push a details page later on. We have 3 more import statements. Let me copy them because I will make for sure an error. So we import our node service and node. I think I might even leave this out. I'm not completely sure. We import our node detail page, which is this one, which is also JavaScript. Oh, come on. Yeah, there's the node detail page. And finally, we import this truncate. Yeah, we can actually create this file. And this should be inside your app folder, another folder, and let's call it pipes. So a pipe is like a directive in Angular 1, and you can use a pipe, well, you will see it just like in Angular 1, a directive, and create this file under pipes truncate.ts. So now we can also import it here. Maybe I need to write some code for our truncate.ts. So we need to import the pipe from Angular to core. And if I can get JavaScript highlighting, yes, I love it. So pretty much the same syntax, but we specify a name and call it truncate. For our pipe, and the actual implementation, well, we can do this later. For now, just say export class truncate so we don't get any compile errors. Yeah, back to our home TS. So as I said, we have all the imports. We have the add page, which uses a specific template URL, which is the HTML view. And at this point, we can also specify the pipes we want to use in that view, which will be truncate. At this point, we don't need this line anymore because we already have it in our root component in the app. So that's a good thing. Now let's go to our home page. We obviously want, just like in Angular 1, a scope variable, an array of nodes inside our class. And our constructor will hold a reference to the nav controller and also to our node service. In the beginning I had some problems with this, because just by typing public nav controller, this nav variable is available to your complete class homepage now. A bit strange if you come from other languages where we need the variable here and would now say this dot nav equals nav, but that's just like it works now. So this is our constructor, and the first thing we want to do, this is, let's make it private. This is on page did enter. So this will call when the page enters. We want to load our nodes. Okay, and let's make this public. Okay, so once we call load nodes, first of all, we set our nodes to an empty array. And afterwards, we use our node service to call get nodes. So as you know, this will return all of our nodes from the database. And we use it with then, not with subscribe in this example, like a promise. And we can use, come on, this nodes, well, no, we don't need this at this point. But we need to check if the result rows length is greater than 0. So only in that case we have gotten some data. And in that case, we make a simple loop over the length of our data. Okay, just like this. And inside, wow, this is a bit too much, I think. Okay, we can use it like this. Okay, so in that case, for every item we get at this point, we create a new node. But first of all, we grab the data, which will be a data res rows item at the position of our loop, and then we call this nodes push with a new node object, which should obviously have the title, the text, and maybe an ID. Whew, quite a lot of code. But I think this is pretty straightforward. We just get the nodes, we iterate over our result set and just add not the raw data, but clean structured objects to our nodes array, which is typed as an array of nodes. Okay, trust me, this was one of the most complicated functions, so everything now will get a lot easier. Let's start with public add node. You can guess what this does. Well, in fact you can't, because we're not actually adding the node here, but we will push a new details page to our nav controller. Why do we do this? Yes, very good question. We simply push an empty node detail page to our view, where we can then enter the title and text. This is just like in Evernote creating a new node. You just start with a blank node. Also, we need a method like node selected, in which we also pass the node. And the selected node, again, we call this nav push with our node detail page. But in this case, we also pass an object containing our node. We will see how this works later. One more thing. Public remove node with a node. also pretty easy. So we call our node service again and say, please remove the node. So as you can see, our node service makes life really easy. We can simply use the functions we created in the first step of this tutorial. Now we also want to remove it from the current array. So use this .nodes index of the node we want to remove. And if this index is greater than, let's say, -1, we call this .nodes splice, starting with the index and splicing one element. So this is the complete home class. We actually need to implement the home HTML as well, because otherwise we won't see a lot in here. So let's do this right now. We keep the navbar, let's say it's a primary, it just looks better. My notes, and after the title we got Ion buttons, and we want to have them on the right side, so that's why we pass end. And make sure to close it. Alright, inside we have a simple button with the new syntax for the click event, and the click event will obviously call add node, just like we've implemented. And inside the button, let's say we have an Ion icon. So these are Ionicons. You can find them inside the documentation of Ionic. And finally close the button. So this should already change the appearance a bit, hopefully. Okay. Oh, what? Is there a problem in line 42? Oh, okay, yes. So again, as I said, a great error, and we find the problem instantly. Remove node does not exist on node service. Yes, that is true. This should be called remove node. So all of these problems that pop up would have gotten me in a lot of trouble with Ionic and Angular 1. And now I just get them inside my log and can be pretty happy about it. I'm not sure why the view not really looks like it should look, but whatever, let's keep going. So we got our Ion content. Well, the view actually should update now. Or am I in the wrong view? Huh. Something seems to be wrong. Let's start it again. No problem. We can already go inside our Ion content and start with a list of our nodes. And inside this list, sorry, we will have Ion items. And those will be already sliding items. Sorry. So we can slide them to the side to remove our node. Alright, there is our app, and we got our button, we got the primary bar. Let's go on. We will use an ng repeat, which is now an ng4. And we iterate over every item of our nodes array. And inside, oh okay, I missed one thing. So we will have a button right inside the Ion item sliding, which will call the oh, come on, the node selected event. We'll write with the item of our ng4. So we will put everything here inside the button. This just makes it a bit smoother. I have tried it and this is what works best for me. So inside the button we now have Ion item content, because I wanted to have a title and a text. Otherwise it would be a bit easier, but not with me, not today. We're here to explore Ionic 2. Okay, Ion item, Ion content. Alright. Pretty simple. The syntax is still the same. So we have the title of the element, and inside here we have now the item.text. Well, yeah, we will use our pipe at this point, but not now. Ion item closed, Ion button closed. So as I said, we will have sliding option to slide an item to the side. So add Ion item options. And inside Ion item options, we have a button again, which will be red. And the click event will be obviously to remove the node. Well, close the button Ion item options, and there's something missing. Yeah, we need to close this one as well. And also inside the button, we will have a simple icon again. Which will be the trash icon, pretty standard. And close the Ion icon. And let's also give it a name, delete, just for people who don't understand the button. Okay, so as I said, we want to use a pipe here, and this will go like this. As I said, no, it's not like a directive. Sorry, it's like a filter in Angular 1. So let's go to our truncate, and inside we simply have to specify a transform method which takes a value and an array of arguments. So what we want to do is we want to show 3 dots if the text length pass the value we specify. So I want, after 20 characters, I want to have 3 dots. So first of all, let's grab this limit, which will be at the first position. And what we want to return is if the length of our string is greater than the limit, then we will return a substring from 0 to the limit plus 3 dots. Otherwise, we can simply return our value. So this is our little pipe, and we will see it in action later. So the last thing we need right now is the details page, because currently, well, the detail page is empty. So let's go to node detail TypeScript, and let's change this class. Inside the node detail page, we want to show, as I said, the details for a node or a blank node if we just start out. So besides page and nav controller, we also need the nav params we passed to this page, and we want to show a toast once we save our node. Additionally, we want to import our node service and the node, come on, from somewhere over the rainbow. I don't know where it is. It should be in providers, node service, again node service. Yes, right there. We have our template URL and export class node detail page. So first of all, every node detail page will have a node, which is initially null. Our constructor will be a bit longer, so we need enough params, but those don't need to be public. We just need them here. Sorry. So as I said, we need enough params, but we also need a public node service of the type node service, and we also need well, indeed, that's everything we need, I think. So inside the constructor, we first of all want to try to grab the node that was passed inside the nav params. So we call get, which is what we specified here as an object. So if we can actually grab this node and it's unequal to undefined, in this case we can simply start using this passed node. Otherwise we have a little problem. In that case we create a new node which won't have a lot information and also no ID, and we call this .save node. So your question now should be, what is this save node? The answer is in this function, public save node, and we also add a parameter show batch, well, it's actually a toast, but whatever. And by default this is false. We don't always want to show a batch, but we want to show it sometimes. The implementation follows. First of all, also add on page will unload. So once the page gets removed or unloaded, we will also call this .save node. And in this case we say true because once we leave this page, we want to show the user that the page has been saved. So let's go to our save node. There are two options. The first one is that this .node.id is null. So we've just created a blank node and the ID is still null. In this case, we first of all need to call our node service and say, hey, please save the node, this .node. And then we can use the data we get and say our node's ID is no data res insert ID. So this comes directly from the node service. The ID is auto-generated increment primary key, and we can use this as our ID. So this is the case once we enter with no information. If we already have information, which means we also have an ID, it's a lot simpler because we can use our another function on node service, which is update node, with this node. So in this case we already know the ID and can simply update the database entry. Now finally, if we specify show batch, we want to show a little toast message. That's why we've imported toast up here, and we call toast.create, and let's say a message node saved for maybe 3 seconds. Should be enough, I think. So in this case we say this nav present our toast, please. All right, we are almost finished. The last part missing is the view for our node detail. So after this, everything inside the app will make sense. Again, let's use a primary bar, it looks cooler. The Ion title will now be the node's title, so initially it will be empty, and we still have the navbar. Inside the Ion content, I'm not sure why it's the class node. I think it should be details because this is some specific Ionic stuff. And inside our Ion list, we make it a list because we have 2 inputs and, well, it just looked a bit better. No, actually, we have our first input field for the title inside this list. So it is a simple Ion item inside the Ion list. And this Ion item will hold an Ion input of the type text. The value will be empty. Specify a placeholder like my awesome node. And now we use a bit strange syntax for specifying the ng model. This was a bit easier. There's another syntax, but by using this we get the two-way data binding you know from Ionic or Angular 1. So the node's title object is now bind to this input field and will get updated. So this is our first input field, and the second one after our list is actually a text area. Let's give it like 15 rows, a placeholder. Oh, what is this? Like, this will be awesome. Yes. And yes, this is not cool, but we specify it here. I don't want to use anything else right now. So we make it 100% without any border. And what we also need again is the ng model, which in this case will be node.text. Close the text area tag, and if we have done everything right, our app will now work. So as you can see, it doesn't work. That's no problem. Okay. So inside truncate, yes. Again, thanks for this information here. Ooh. Cannot find node detail. Yes, again, thanks. Oh, I love it. I really love it. Yes, there we have our view and this. So let's start. This is my new node. You can see the title up here and my epic text. Let's simply go back, and we got the toast message, our node is saved. What's not happening right here is it's not really stored, or is it? Okay, so for some reason our node service save node function does not what it should do. So let me take a look. So I actually had two little errors. First of all, my syntax here was incorrect, so the basic table was not created. And also at the remove node function we have to pass the item. So with that changes, you can find all the code on my blog as usual. And let's try out our app. This is our epic text for the new node. As you can see, the node is saved. We have our node and we have the spoiler of our text. Let's go inside and add some more text past 20 characters. Let's go back. And what we see is after 20 characters, it gets cut. So this is what truncate and our pipe does. So the last missing thing, we have a sliding option button, which is a danger button with delete and the trash. Let's use it, and our node is gone. All right, so well, let me show you last thing test. So the interesting thing also inside the debug area is that where is it? Inside the resources we have the web SQL, and there we have the Ionic storage with our nodes table. So this is how you can debug your stuff. You actually need to remove it on another way, just Google it, it's no problem, but this is just to show the web SQL storage here. Alright friends, so this has been the tutorial, this is it. I hope you like this. Subscribe to my channels because there will be more Ionic 2 tutorials in the next time. And also go to my blog and subscribe to my list to get updates about new tutorials and the complete code for this tutorial. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Goodbye.